Alright, hello and welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, we're going to be giving you a rundown of everything you might have missed. If you didn't want to watch a game for any of these week 11 games, if you saw one you thought it was boring, or if you just didn't have time for them, we will give you a complete rundown. Or even if you did watch them, and you need a reminder, I got you covered. Starting with your Thursday game, Commanders versus Eagles. This game was actually a pretty close game for the most of it, and then Saquon Barkley decided to just go off. Eagles having a much needed win, 26-18. If you're the Commanders, obviously that's frustrating because you let the Eagles take a commanding lead in the division, and the Eagles right now looking dominant, especially with Saquon Barkley. Not a crazy passing game from Jalen Hurts, but managed it well enough for them to take the victory there. So that was your Thursday game. Moving into Sunday, we had Dolphins and Raiders, and to be honest with you, this Dolphins team just looks very different from what we saw from last year. They were a high explosive team, high octane team. Now they're a check down team. Devon Achane get a lot of catches out of the backfield team, a lot of small 5-yard plays, 10-yard plays. Not a lot going on there, but they did enough to claim the victory. Tua Tagovailoa, 3 passing touchdowns. Big victory for them to go to 4-6. They've secured 2 in a row. If you're the Raiders, obviously frustrated. Browns and Saints, I gotta say, they fired Dennis Allen and they went 2 in a row. Now, it's no crazy accomplishment to beat the Browns, but still, gotta give credit where credit's due. Nice little turnaround there. They're still in cap hell. They still have a lot of things to figure out, but at the very least, Saints winning 2 in a row. Congratulations. Moving on to the Jets and the Colts. Now, if you guys have seen my videos, you know that I made a video, 5 teams that can still turn their season around. Dolphins were on there. They are doing so. Jets were on there. They are not doing so. The reason why the Jets suck is, well, they suck. It's really all there is to it. Their defense has been massively disappointing since Robert Saleh left. And their offense, I mean, what more can you say? Aaron Rodgers has been a massive disappointment. He has not been able to give you the boost that you thought he would. Only 184 passing yards. For a guy like Aaron Rodgers, that is inexcusable, inexplicable, utterly disappointing at the very least. Got to move forward, but that is just a blunder of a game through and through for this Jets team to lose to a Colts team that really has been struggling, but big win for the Colts. Vikings and Titans. This one was a boring one, a snooze fest. If you are one of those people who clicked on this video because you didn't watch games like the Vikings and Titans, you just didn't miss out on much. I mean, the Titans, they're just not a good team. Will Levis couldn't really get anything going. 17 for 31 and just all over the place. 295 passing yards, I will say that. In terms of the running game, it was very non-existent for the Titans. What did Tony Pollard have? Like 20 yards rushing, 15 yards rushing. 15 yards rushing for Tony Pollard. Absolutely bad. On the flip side of the Vikings, Sam Darnold, 2 passing touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, 6 catches, 81 yards. But it wasn't a fluid game. It wasn't a game that you look at and say, this Viking team looked dominant. They are very reliant on their defense. Packers and Bears. People have been giving Caleb Williams a lot of flack. They've been really just dissing him a lot, especially on social media in the past week. But I will say this game was a very clean game for Caleb Williams. Took what was there. Anytime he didn't have a nice read or a nice play for him going in terms of where he wanted to go with his first or second or even third option, he was being smart. He was scrambling out, getting these first downs. I mean, he had 9 carries for 70 yards. It was a very efficient game in terms of his decision making. But I will say, really disappointing for this Bears team is, well, the obvious thing in that they just couldn't get the win. But 2, they only had 19 points, and the way that the offense looked, it just looked very intermediate, right? They could not, and I mean could not finish drives with touchdowns. It was a struggle to get touchdowns. I mean, they had one 40-yard rushing touchdown with DeAndre Swift, which was really nice. They had another running touchdown with Roschon Johnson. You want to see some big offensive plays from the passing game. You want to see DJ Moore get some love. You want to see Rome Odunze get some love. Keenan Allen get some love. Even Cole Kmet. But it's just not really having the firepower right now. I mean, they took what was there. Caleb Williams did his best. 19 points obviously isn't enough, but that field goal, just a blunder. On the flip side, big win for the Packers, moved to 7-3, still competing with the Vikings for that #1 spot in the division. Like I said, big win. Actually, I say competing with the Vikings, but in all honesty, it doesn't matter because the Lions are holding that down. Nevertheless, you still want to make your wild card spot solidified. Big win for the Packers. Jaguars and Lions. Score is 6-52. Lions, 7 touchdowns. I mean, there's really not a lot to talk about here. If a team has 7 touchdowns on you, that's just got to be crushing, soul sucking, and you must be going to the locker room at the end of this game. Just, I don't even know how I would feel after that dismantling of a performance that the Lions gave the Jaguars. I mean, just utter dominance from the start to finish. This Jaguars team, it looks just dead in the water. Rams and Patriots. You know, Matthew Stafford made some really, really good plays in this game. 4 passing touchdowns. Puka Nacua looking really solid. And of course, Cooper Kupp doing what Cooper Kupp does, and that's finding ways to get to the end zone. 2 receiving touchdowns. I will say this, Drake May having a lot of splash plays. You know, there's a lot of mistakes that he makes, to be honest with you, whether it's not making the right throw or it's just another turnover that really isn't necessary. But he's still learning, and there's flashes of Drake May. So Patriots fans, you lost this one. Realistically, you're going to keep losing because that's just the state of your team right now. But it's exciting to see Drake May develop, and he's definitely more fun to watch than Jacoby Brissett. Moving on, Steelers and Ravens. This game, as entertaining as it was also very frustrating because both offenses just struggled. Mr. MVP favorite Lamar Jackson just struggled. There was no, and I mean no, consistency in anything that these guys were doing. The defenses from both teams were just amazing. Russell Wilson, you know, kind of having to take what was given on these 5-yard plays, 3-yard plays, completed a lot of passes, but definitely not a lot of yards. 23 passes completed, 36 attempts, only 205 yards. I mean, just couldn't really make the explosive plays, and when he did, he couldn't finish it off with a touchdown, right? Even when they did, which wasn't often, he just could not finish it for a touchdown. And even the run game, you know, 18 carries, 63 yards for Najee Harris. Give credit to the Ravens defense. They played well, but give even bigger credit to the Steelers. They clearly have figured out Lamar Jackson, and they just keep winning. They just keep beating this guy. Again, MVP favorite Lamar Jackson just could not get going. Only 207 passing yards. Didn't even complete half his passes. A touchdown and interception. Just a wow kind of output from this offense. As in that's all they did. Wow, that's crazy. Steelers are just a crazy good team. Seahawks and 49ers. I think we've all come to the conclusion that the 49ers are just a disappointing team. You know, they dropped to 5-5. This was a big game for them. Obviously, this is more of a tight division than everyone really would have anticipated. Considering the circumstances, this game was kind of a must-win because you look at that division, Cardinals are 6-4. Rams are 5-5. You know, you win that game, you move to 6-4 with the Cardinals. Now you lose, the Seahawks get back in the mix at 5-5, and you're at 5-5. It's a must-win game in those kind of moments, and they just failed time and time again in these fourth quarters, and it's wow. All you can say is wow. Are you serious? This is not what you anticipated going into the season, but it's what they're doing. They're failing in the fourth quarter consistently. 5-5, massive disappointing outcome for the 49ers. Falcons and Broncos, you know, I don't talk enough about the Broncos because I always tell myself they're not going to be contenders. They're not. They can't. How can they be contenders? But at this point in time, I will give them credit where credit's due. This defense is just elite. They've only ever really struggled against the Ravens because the Ravens do crazy shit against everyone but the Steelers. But this Denver Broncos team finally had that crazy explosion offensively. Bo Nix looked really good this game. This was a solid effort from both sides of the football. I will give credit where credit's due. This Broncos team is good enough to do some some damage, keyword some, because the moment they play a team like the Bills or the Ravens, I think it's over because their offense just can't keep up pound for pound. But I will say, I'm impressed with how this team has responded after looking really rough offensively in the beginning of the season. This is a nice win against a solid Falcons team. But if you're the Falcons, you have to look at yourselves and say, really? 6-38? This was not a competitive game. This was utter dominance from start to finish. Bills and Chiefs, finally, the Chiefs' plot armor and their reign of terror ends. Finally getting their first loss of the season. I'd say this is a nice, clean game from the Bills. Josh Allen making plays that really that team needed from him. They needed this from him because, let's be honest, when the Bills had the ball and they were going down the field and it was looking like they were going to take a field goal, everyone thought, don't give the ball to Patrick Mahomes. Don't give the ball with Patrick Mahomes on a 2-minute drive. Just don't do it. Don't do it. I know the viewers thought that. If you didn't watch the game, just know that the Bills could have given the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, down up 5. Chiefs would have been down 5, and you already know how that goes for the Chiefs. They're just going to do some crazy shit. But the Bills said, nope, we're going to go. Josh Allen makes a great play, huge touchdown, and that's kind of what you have to do against the Chiefs is you got to say, we're not playing to not lose, we're playing to win. There is a difference. Coaches sometimes play not to lose. That's not how you want to play when you're playing against the Chiefs. You want to play to win. Again, there is a difference. They could have taken a field goal. They said, Josh Allen, let's put him away. And look what they did. Big win for the Bills. A statement win for the Bills. Bengals and Chargers. The Bengals defense could not be looking any more worse by the week. I mean, this was just a frustrating outing to a Chargers team that has not looked that good offensively, and they made them look good offensively. Joe Burrow looks great. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins looked great. Chase Brown looks great. But this Chargers defense also did a good job of limiting them, for some drives. And they had a drive towards the end of the game where they gave the defense gave the Bengals a 3-and-out. And it was a really good hold, and it was a really nice response because the Chargers offense had 3-and-out the drive before. And that's when you had Justin Herbert take it down the field, put the Bengals away. And that to me was just really, really, really impressive. I got to say, I am shocked at how bad and how lost this Bengals defense looks. But a big win, a big win for the Chargers. Again, not the most fun team to watch, because they can be really frustrating to watch. They just don't really have weapons at their receiving core. They rely too much on Justin Herbert to make a play or their defense to make plays, which is what happened this game, to be honest with you. Their weapons are really, really not there. Texans and Cowboys, I'm just so done talking about the Cowboys. I spent so much in the first half of the season talking about them. At this point, this team sucks. CeeDee Lamb is really good, and we're just wasting his prime years right now. I mean, of course, he signed a big contract. He's going to be a Cowboy for a while, but this season is an absolute blunder. It's just not a lot to say. I'm just massively frustrated as a Cowboys fan, but Texans, big win. Honestly, a bit of an ugly win because while it shows 34-10, this game was close for 3 quarters, which is not an impressive stat. It's not an impressive thing to hear because this Cowboys team sucks. This Texans team should have put him away significantly earlier than 3 quarters. But hey, still won the game. Still played some solid D. That's what you need, is to just take the victories as they come. Stop the flags. So many flags on this goddamn Texans team. They need to play more clean football. But a big win nonetheless, no matter how bad the team is. And the Cowboys, that is your Week 11 recap. For Week 12, you know where I'll be. I'll be here. Tune in next week if there's something you missed or you just need that refresher. Anyways, I greatly appreciate you guys for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. Doing my best to drop these videos, make them higher quality than I used to. As always, this is Ollie Been Different. All we've been different. And we out.